Hey guys, what's up? Let's talk about this new phenomenon of a movie known as Get Out. Now, if by any chance you haven't seen it in theaters yet, I urge you to seek out the Blu-ray when eventually it will come out. My review of it is going to be spoiler-free as usual, but at the same time, this truly is the type of movie you should watch knowing as little about it as possible. Believe the hype, this film is truly almost perfect. It's indeed one of the most unpredictable, tight, and entertaining films I have seen in quite some time. A young African-American man named Chris and his Caucasian girlfriend have reached the relationship milestone known as meeting the girl's parents. During one weekend they go and visit the family's estate, and while their overly accommodating behavior is viewed by Chris as mere nervous attempts at dealing with their daughter's interracial relationship, which is something new to them, but as the weekend progresses, he starts noticing strange behavior, especially from the two other black people there, the housekeeper and the groundskeeper, and a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries will lead him to a truth he could have never imagined. The basic premise of this film might seem familiar enough, a character going to an unfamiliar place where everything initially appears to be normal on the surface, but it ultimately turns out to be some sort of trap, its inhabitants like having more of an evil agenda in mind. But the overwhelming praise critics have for this film is not just because it is top-notch on all fronts, like directing, acting, cinematography, and soundtrack, because it is, but unlike other recent horror films like Life, for example, which is also a very good film on a technical level, very, very well realized, it lacked the originality and meaningfulness. This film, however, on the other hand, features a very fascinating subtext, something that unfortunately is still very current in contemporary society, and especially in contemporary United States: racism, and the fear it gives rise to when the idea of being discriminated is an ever-looming threat. Now, among the many things the film references concerning race relations, I just love the way they handled the whole black guy among several white people dying first in horror movies cliche. Basically taking that cliche, turning it inside out, making a movie about it, and basically ending up straight up mocking it, because this is indeed a horror film with some very not so subtle comedic overtones, and the source of most of the comedy is Chris's best friend in the movie, and he himself is actually sort of a cliche in the beginning of the film at least. He's, like typical best black friend, the one who never shuts up, who's always a big mouth, always thinks he's smarter than everyone else, but eventually he does prove to be a lot smarter, a lot more resourceful, a lot more of a problem solver than he initially appeared. Not only is our main character black, but the very fact that he is black is basically the main reason he ends up in this situation in the first place, and the secondary reason being that he is a photographer, quite a good one in fact, and this will lead to eventually something that also has like a relationship with racism: envy. And envy is not something I ever could have imagined actually having some sort of correlation with racism, but in fact it's not so far-fetched. It's no wonder that Jesse Owens gets referenced in the film, the famous athlete who basically single-handedly crushed Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy at the 1968 Olympics. Now, I never truly cared, or I never truly gave it much thought and attempted to understand racism. I mean, to me it's always seemed like something ridiculous, always seemed like unmotivated hatred, and probably in most cases that's what it is, but I never thought it could be actually a sort of complex. I never thought it could actually be sort of this superiority complex where your disdain for another race isn't given away necessarily just by the fact that you consider them to be inferior or just inferior. It can also be on the contrary. You might consider them to be superior, actually. You might become envious of their strengths, and this will lead you to hating them and when having this desire to take advantage of them and utilizing their strengths for your own benefits. And that's probably how slavery happens. Yay! The film is very clever about referencing that as well, slavery, something from the past. It's also very clever about referencing something that's incredibly current, and that's police brutality, I would say, but in the case of the film, not police brutality necessarily, but police indifference. There's a very funny scene, again, with Chris's best friend. It seems like every scene that guy is in is basically a moment in the film where you're allowed to breathe a little bit, because all the rest of the film is just suspense from beginning to end. And it's when he realizes that something is wrong, something is going on, and his friend is in trouble. He goes to the police station, he actually talks to a black policewoman, he tells her what is going on, and she is just not taking him seriously. She is just laughing at him. This was a scene in the film, the comedy was taken a little bit too far, it was a little bit too exaggerated, because the scene, when I really started to think about it, it is kind of unsettling, because it's basically telling you that even black police don't really care about black citizens. Even black police don't really take black citizens seriously. Speaking of things being taken a little bit too far, the big revelation, when eventually it is revealed what exactly is going on, I thought was a little bit too cartoonish. Not the way it was revealed, but what is that thing that's going on? You know, it was a little bit too goofy for me. It was like I had this sort of under the shadow moment. That's also a very good horror film. It's almost a masterpiece. It has a very fascinating subtext that just features a little bit too many jump scares. Now this film as well, which again, this one is also almost a masterpiece with a very fascinating subtext, is the final act just a little bit too goofy for my taste. I wish like such a well-crafted and intelligent and well thought out film had a little bit more of a grounded like revelation in the end. But on the other hand, every single setup in this film has a payoff. Every single like small discrepancy that you would deem to be a plot hole maybe in a lesser film proves to not be a plot hole by the end. And even certain cliches, there aren't really cliches in the film. There is one minor cliche, I would say, when our hero kills one of the bad guys and then later on it's revealed that he is not actually dead and he shows up and he jumps him and oh my god, it's a surprise. It feels very earned because these villains are so fucking disgusting and you really truly hate their guts that it really feels earned when our hero gets a second chance at giving them an extra punch in the face. And speaking of things being earned, the chemistry between this couple, I completely bought it from the very first second I saw them on screen. These are very talented actors, they worked very well together, excellent job, but I truly think that the real scene stealer in this film is Betty Gabriel, who plays the housekeeper, Georgina, in the film. I mean, this film is incredibly unsettling, very disturbing, very effective, and everyone is genuinely creepy, but there is a scene when she is having a conversation with Chris, and it's just a close-up of her face. And man, her delivery in that scene is one of the creepiest scenes in a film I have seen probably since The fucking Shining. So Get Out. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is going to be one of the best films of 2017, and we're only in April. Wow. My question to you guys would be, what are some of your favorite horror films that feature like a similar sort of subtext? I mentioned Under the Shadow, it's another film I reviewed that has sort of like a subtext concerning gender. This one has a subtext concerning race. What other films you know that have this sort of like subtleness to them? Really curious to know. If you enjoyed my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you later with other reviews. Until then, folks, stay cool, stay awesome, goodbye.